You ever hear a story where the bad guy thinks he's got everything under control, only to find out he just picked the one person in the world who could bury him alive? That's exactly what happened one hot summer night down at the Charleston Marina. And I swear, if I didn't know the woman at the center of it, I'd think it was a movie. Her name, at least the one the papers used, was Dr. Vanessa Cole, 49 years old, tall, graceful, the kind of woman who could walk into a room and make you sit up straighter without even saying a word. What most folks didn't know was that she'd just been sworn in as the first Black woman to run the entire Federal Bureau of Investigation. But that night, she wasn't the director. She was just Vanessa leaning against the railing at the pier in a midnight blue gown, taking a break from the stuffy charity gala inside. The breeze off the water was soft, salty, and honest. None of that fake smile and champagne chatter from the ballroom. She was staring at the lights dancing on the water when she heard the sound, two pairs of boots on wood. Steady, confident, purposeful. She turned and there they were, two men in crisp white Port Authority uniforms. At first glance, legit. Second glance, something was off. The older one, a lean man with pale eyes, like a shark, had Lieutenant C. Ryder stitched on his chest. His smile didn't reach those eyes. "Ma'am," he said, low and gravelly. "We're conducting security checks tonight. Big event, lots of high-profile guests. Gonna need to see some eyed." Vanessa had spent her whole career reading people peeling back masks. This one didn't even fit right. He wasn't looking for threats, he was sizing her up. His gaze lingered on the diamond bracelet at her wrist slid over the designer clutch in her hand. "Of course, officer," she said, voice smooth as glass, already cataloging the details. The uniforms, too new, too pressed. The younger guy behind him's a quiet hand just grazing his holster, standing in that textbook intimidation stance. She handed over her driver's license, keeping her federal credentials tucked deep. Ryder's lip curled when he read it. "Der Cole," he said, dragging out the title like it had a bad taste. "Interesting." His partner made a show of muttering into his radio voice too low for anyone to hear. Vanessa had seen this play before a manufacturer of problem controlled the scene. "Is there an issue?" she asked. "We've had reports of a woman matching your description running a high-end credit card scam," Ryder said. His tone made it sound like he was doing her a favor just by talking. "That's ridiculous," she shot back, but before she could take a step toward the gala, the younger man lunged forward. Zip ties bit into her wrist, sharp and fast. Her clutch hit the dock. "You have no idea who you're dealing with," she hissed, trying to keep her breathing steady. "Oh, I think I do." Ryder leaned in, breath sour with old coffee. "I'm dealing with a rich, uppity woman who's about to have a very bad night." They didn't take her back inside. They marched her down a shadowed dock to a sleek yacht, forced her up the gangplank, and shoved her inside. The heavy door shut behind them with a sound that felt permanent. Inside was all polished wood, cream leather, crystal glasses, the kind of wealth Ryder hated but loved to use. He pushed her down onto a sofa. "Comfortable, doctor?" he asked, sarcasm dripping. Then he laid it out like a business deal sign off on several wire transfers to offshore accounts, and in 12 hours she'd be dropped somewhere in the Bahamas. Refuse. Well, the ocean was big, deep, and full of teeth. Vanessa kept her face neutral, mind working. Engels. Then Ryder called out, "Torres, get up here. Our guest is ready to be processed." The younger man from the dock stepped in. Miguel Torres. Dark hair eyes that looked like they'd seen too much too young. At first, he just stared at her, and then something changed. The color drained from his face. His jaw slackened. She knew that look recognition. She didn't know from where, but he did. And when he knelt to check her for tracking devices, his touch was so light it was almost apologetic. Their eyes met, and in that silent exchange she saw a guilt and a question. "Do you remember me?" Turns out a year earlier he'd been a small-time wheelman caught up in a federal racketeering case. Facing 10 years for a carjacking, he didn't commit. Vanessa, back then still a consultant, had looked at the evidence, listened to him, and proved the prosecution had the wrong guy. He walked with 6 months. Now here they were. Carl Miguel said, using Ryder's first name, "We need to cut her loose. This isn't what you think." Ryder's pale eyes sharpened. "You getting soft on me?" He yanked a pistol with a fat suppressor from a briefcase and shoved it into Miguel's hand. "Prove your loyalty. Kill her." Vanessa sat still. Heart-thudding eyes locked on Miguel's. His arm trembled. Then so fast Ryder couldn't catch it, Miguel glanced at the floor just in front of her and back up. A signal. "Play along." "I'm sorry," he whispered, then fired. The round thumped into the cushion, inches from her ribs. She gasped, let her body go limp, head lolling. Miguel dropped the gun like it burned him. Ryder smirked, satisfied. "See, not so hard." He ordered Miguel to stash her body in the anchor locker up front. They'd dump her later. As soon as Ryder's back was turned, Miguel hauled her toward the galley, cutting the zip ties as they went. Down a narrow staircase behind a loose panel was a cramped maintenance hatch. "You'll be safe here for a bit," he whispered. Vanessa twisted the largest diamond on her bracelet. It was a hidden distress beacon, pulsing GPS coordinates to the Coast Guard nav bunk. In the stifling dark, they crouched and waited. Above them, Ryder stomped across the deck, the yacht's engines humming as they pushed further out to sea. Minutes later, the heavy clank of the anchor locker being opened. Then a roar of pure rage. He knew. His footsteps pounded toward the galley. The panel ripped away, the hatch wrenched open, his face a mask of fury, gun aimed down. But before he could climb in, a new sound cut through the night, the deep, rhythmic chop of helicopter blades. The yacht was blasted in white light from above. "This is the FBI. Cut your engines and show your hands." A Coast Guard interceptor slammed alongside black-clad agents swarming over the rail rifles up. Ryder froze, torn between fight and surrender. He started to swing the gun toward Vanessa, but an agent fired a beanbag round straight into his chest, dropping him to the deck. Within seconds, his wrists were cuffed, the same cold click he'd inflicted on so many others. Miguel climbed out of the hatch with his hands raised, trembling. Vanessa stepped into the light, surrounded by her own agents now. She looked down at Ryder. No fear, no hate, just the quiet finality of justice. In the weeks that followed, Miguel's testimony cracked open a years-long ring of corruption in the Port Authority. Ryder was convicted on kidnapping, conspiracy, attempted murder, 60 years, no parole. Miguel entered witness protection, given a clean slate. As for Vanessa, she went back to Washington sharper than ever. Her first act was forming a federal task force to root out corruption in local law enforcement. She knew now more than ever, justice wasn't some abstract idea. It was a fight. Sometimes in courtrooms, sometimes in the dark on the water, with everything on the line. So let me ask you, when it comes to stopping abuse of power, what do you think matters more? Changing the system, or one person finding the courage to stand up in the moment? And have you ever seen someone's bravery flip a situation completely on its head? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your story.